Oh, good Friday evening to everyone. How are you? It's good to see you, and it is good to be seen by you. I hope you're having an absolutely positively wonderful evening. I, Bill Sylvie, the person doing the seeing and the thanking and being seen, am the Dungeon Delver, and I'm pretty much the only one as far as I'm aware. So welcome one and all, and thank you for being here. So if the winds of YouTube have blown you here and you haven't already, please do click that subscribe button, click the bell icon for notifications so you can find out when it is we're gonna do what we're gonna do and when we're gonna do it. Some nights we hang out like tonight. Some nights we do live stream tabletop role-playing games. Some nights we have awesome guests on, like we had last night. Last night we had Solo, a fellow that you had all met before. Aggie from Brave Alice was here, and they're talking about RPG stories. They're absolutely unbelievable RPG tool. Now, I'm not going to call it a virtual tabletop tool, guys, because it offers so much to every facet of gaming. It's something you can get and use regardless of whether you're VTT, whether you're at a table and you use a lot of computer multimedia to present to the players through a monitor. Maybe you got off to the left, or you just want to print cool things out. But I'm not going to go over last night's show. You were all here. You saw it. Kabuki Kid, good to see you. Vaughn Gifford, how are you? Mark Morrison, welcome. And so if you like the guest thing that we do, Thorbin, greetings, hello. Unregistered Hypercam. Clark Witten, Robert Phillips, welcome. If you missed it last night, we actually had a roll-off with a D20 to see who would win the gift so thoughtfully provided by our friends over at Brave Alice, and it was Michael Connor. So he actually won the key code for for RPG stories, and I'm gonna get that to him. That's gonna be an awesome thing. But speaking of cool stuff, guys, today's live stream is of course brought to you by our friends at Hellebarde Games. Now, Hellebarde makes the kind of adventures they'd like to play, whether it's for Castles and Crusades 5th edition or the OSR. Old School is in play at the table with Hellebarde Games, and you can find them on DriveThruRPG or on their website, hellebardegames.com. Do check them out. And anyway, so he was our guest. We've got a guest next week. The one, the only Jack Photon. You guys know him in the chat over here. You guys know Jack because you've seen so much of his artwork on the show. You've seen so many of his efforts on the show. The love and appreciation. He will be here next Thursday, and I'm looking forward to that. Because he and I have chit-chatted on the phone before, and so on and etc. But the guy's such a talented artist, and he loves AD&D almost as much as he loves Star Trek. So I'm looking forward to having him here. Mark Morrison wants to know, when am I going to share a PDF of the trivia game I gave the Dungeon Master? I gave him a few questions. I gave him a few questions. Let me, you know what? I think I gave that to him on Discord. Let me see. I kind of got to dig down through. Let's see. So yeah, I got my list here. So the first question, and I'm not going to go through the answers. I'm not going to give you guys the answers like I did multiple choice and then I did one answer. Michael Connor, don't move. Remain exactly where you are. Michael Connor, you won something last night. You won the Rollof for a copy of RPG Stories on Steam, my friend. Send me your contact info at my email address, and I will get you that code. Congratulations, and if you don't want it, we'll go to another person. Patty's Parlor, welcome back. I hope you've been well, Patty. Good to see you. Anyway, so the first question was, which of these are all characters played by Gary Gygax? And then I had A, B, C, D with 3 possible choices. But anyway, yeah, send me your contact info, Michael, and I'll get you that code. No, we're gonna re-roll, Vaughn. We're gonna re-roll. You might get it, but you might not. Overhill and Overdale, say hello to Michael Dale. Anyway, all right. Which one of these are cities in the world of Greyhawk was the next? Where is the wrecked spacecraft found in the world of Greyhawk? Again, there's multiple choice. There's 4 answers. Who was Igwilv's prize? Who were the 2 adventurers that lived in a tower in Hamlet? Gary Gygax paid tribute to one of his favorite fantasy authors by naming 2 dread artifacts after him in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Who was the author? I think you guys know who that is. And then I got to some fairly simple ones that just had one answer. Is Facebook okay? Yes, Facebook is absolutely okay, Michael. Just, however, it's a code. I'm just gonna paste you the code tonight after, because I don't have. Oh, greetings, Christopher. Welcome. Make yourself at home. Super chat. And no, I'm kidding. But no, welcome. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Gary D20, good to see you. And then I have, what type of demon is typically known by the name Malarith? What was the name of the hill giant chieftain in module G1, studying of the hill giant chief? Which real world Great Lake is mirrored in the World of Greyhawk map as a near dive or lake of unknown depths? What is the name of the spaceship model that can be found in C1, the Hidden Shrine of Tamacon? Who created the spell Acid Arrow? What famous ruined castle shares the name of a city, state, and campaign world? That's an easy one, right? A notable NPC in the world of Greyhawk wielded 2 magical 6-shooters and was created to honor the late Don Kay. Who is this cowboy out of time? What is the name of the town that houses the Dread Slave Lord's headquarters in Module A3 Secret Assault on the Area of the Slave Lords? And the last one I had was, who stole the magical artifact, weapons, Wave Whelm, and Black Razor and hid them in his Volcano Dungeon headquarters? So those are my trivia questions, and I don't think they were terribly difficult to figure out. Where is my keep on the Borderland settled at? It's in the Pomarge. It's in the Pomarge. So there you go. Now you know. Oh, and I got something cool to show up. This is this was actually I jumped on this when I saw who was it? I'm going blank now. I'm sorry. I'm just having a moment. That's going to seem like 10 minutes when I go back and have to watch this video for reasons. But anyway, Dying Breed Tabletop got one of these shirts, and I was like, I got to have one too. So here it is. Check this out. Straight out of Greyhawk. Pretty neat. So I rather like my new Straight Outta Greyhawk shirt. I'm going to get another new D&D shirt. I'm going to buy myself. But anyway. So what else is happening? I'm 3D printing like crazy for Paul Stormberg. He's got a thing I've got to get 3D printing done for. It's going. Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Michael. You can move now. You can move. My apologies. What else is happening? Not too much is happening. Of course, normally, so if you're new here, if you're new to the chat, who was it that was new to the chat up there? That was... Who was that? So they were new to chat. Oh, Cooley, hi. I missed you. I hope you're still here. Anyway, person new to chat who just stopped by. Normally on Friday, like anything around here is normal. But normally on Friday we have a live play of a role-playing game. I really kind of want to have everybody, the whole Gamma World circle of players here at the same time. So we've skipped the last couple of weeks because we've had one player out. So I want everything to be cool about that. But anyway, I'm sorry for yawning. It's been an up and down week, guys. It's been an up and down week. So anyway, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Now I'm pretty sure next week, barring a minor miracle, next week's going to be the last guest I have on for the year, which sounds like, oh, the last one for the year. That's 2 more weeks of November and 4 weeks of December. And then we started up in January. My first guest of 2024 is actually going to be Thane Kyle, who is, of course, Dungeons and Disabilities. He has a great YouTube channel, and you guys should check it out. It's pretty awesome. He games with us on Tuesday night, plays first edition AD&D. He did also play Traveler with us on Wednesday nights when Kyle was running that. So hopefully next week he can that is Kyle. Hopefully next week he'll be here to run Conflict, because the plan for next week is Monday, kind of like this, Tuesday, first edition AD&D after some preamble ramble, Wednesday, Kyle, Thursday, of course, Jack Photon will be here, and then Friday, we'll be back to Gamma World. So here's hoping. Vaughn is going to be real pissed off when they break out that black ray gun and just shoot the beholder. Brap. But anyhow, we'll just have to see how that goes. 26 watching. That's awesome. That's awesome. But as I've said, come December, things will start to slow somewhat, and then the back half of December, I probably will just be doing shorter videos, like during the day, like Advent, if I get an Advent calendar from someone to share with you guys, a gaming related Advent calendar. And then, after New Year's week, we'll kick it back into high gear. So we'll see how things progress. We'll see how things progress. And then, of course, I want to do some new stuff in the new year. There will be another channel. People have said, no, I don't want to subscribe to other channels. I just want you to do everything here. I'm not, guys, let me tell you something. YouTube hates multi-topic channels. They do. It's just the nature of the beast, guys. And you think I get hosed by the algorithm now? So in 2024, I'm going to be starting a separate channel off the main channel, and it's going to be all about 3D printing and crafting stuff for tabletop with 3D printing. So I'm sorry if it upsets you that I'm going to be doing that on its own separate channel, but it really merits its own separate channel. So hopefully you guys will subscribe to that, and lots of other people will subscribe to it, and it'll, and all that channel is going to be, that's like going to be 2 videos a week at most, talking about 3D printing. But it's not going to impact what we do here. It's not going to impact what we do here. The videos will be shot on the weekends. One thing I do want you guys to look out for is come first week of January, I'm going to do a long pre-recorded video, and we're basically, I'm just going to, it's going to be a 2023 in review. I might even do it like in December, but I kind of want to do it like a year. Basically, we're going to start with the 2nd of January. A lot of people don't consider this, but you should. You should. What printer do I use? I have 2 Mars 2 Pros, and I have 1 Flash Forge Photo 8.9. So I have 3 resin printers. The wizard hat gets swapped for the Santa hat. Yes, Robert Phillips, absolutely. But anyway, last year, no, not last year, at the beginning of this year, it seems like last year. This year's almost over. On or around the 2nd or 3rd of January, PBS NewsHour did a hit piece, a smear piece on me and people like me, basically on the old school. When I say OSR, guys, I don't mean like, it's ultra light, super duper tiny, itsy bitsy white hack with all the yucky stuff taken out. So it's OSR. That's not what I mean when I say OSR. True old school D&D. They did not call me out specifically. They called all of old schoolers out. Basically, if you love classic Dungeons and Dragons, NPR was saying you are an ist, a phobe, all, to quote Dan Aykroyd in Trading Places, which is almost time to watch. It's a Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's movie. They're all the bad ones. Like if you were rejecting if you were rejecting modern Dungeons and Dragons and embracing classic Dungeons and Dragons, it's because you were a hateful, bigoted person, was the premise of their piece. They got dogpiled on Twitter by me and lots of other people, and they hid it. They shut off responses, they unpinned it, and let it just sink down. Then they published it again with a slightly different title, and they got dogpiled again. And do you know what they did? They went and published it a third time. Every time it got picked on. And there was a small YouTube channel. Not even YouTube, Twitch. And I don't remember who you are, and I apologize. If you're watching this and it was you, please speak up and let me know. But basically they said, hey, we'd like to interview the guy who wrote this piece and talk to him about this. And they basically pussyfooted around and said, well, no, we're not going to do that. And my channel was only like 1,200 at the time. But this was the first week of January. And I'm here to tell you something. Ladies and gentlemen, you can believe me or you cannot. That was a planned hit. That was an AstroTurf hit. This was not like, oh my gosh, I think, look at how awful these classic D&D people are. No. I promise you, Wizards of the Coast called PBS and said, we're about to do a dumb. Detract from it. Start driving wedges. Do you ever see stonecutters work? They take just simple wooden wedges and they drive them into stone, and it's just enough tension to start breaking stone and pushing it apart as they cut. Start driving those wedges in PBS. I kept making that mistake last year or earlier this year too. So PBS, it was PBS, not NPR. Let's get our hatred right. PBS said, "Oh no! Your channel's too small." They ran and hid. But I absolutely believe they colluded with Wizards of the Coast to start a wedge in the community, but it didn't work because 2 weeks later on the 17th, and if you're new, if you joined my channel after then, you know what was going on. Everybody in the tabletop gaming community united. But Wizards of the Coast, I guarantee you, they got with PBS and said, let's fracture the community a little bit. Do this for us. Even if they didn't say it out like that, I bet you someone at Wizards of the Coast said, Dungeons and Dragons is really cool, but there's some old white guys that don't like new D&D. I don't know what it could be, but here's a few curated tweets and forum posts, so we think that's the whole mindset behind those people, so you might want to look into it. And so their hit piece came out. I didn't get a bunch of traction about that. It wasn't until a couple of weeks later when WotC pulled their shenanigans. But I'm going to release a video. I may do it for the holidays. I'm going to have that 2 weeks. I don't know. What do you guys think? You want it in the new year, closer to the anniversary? Or you want it over the holidays, like a holiday special? You know what? No, I'm going to leave the invective and the venom out of the holidays. Holidays are about times of peace, about giving thanks, about being with friends and loved ones. Let's do it in January. So you guys will get that then. Miss Bell Games, welcome to the show. So anyhow, so that's, look for that in January. I don't know if we're gonna do it every week, but I'm pretty sure Monday nights, like maybe the first Monday of the month, we're gonna start doing a trivia night here. Like those trivia questions that I asked Dungeon Minister, that's softball stuff. I don't know if we'll do it like Jeopardy or what. And I'm not sure. It may just be like, hey, if you're in the audience, I'll invite you into the green room if you'll behave yourself. PGI Films. First of all, I think that's the first time you commented. Second of all, that is an awesome comment. So welcome, PGI Films. I am glad you have joined us. Matthew Sherman's March to the Delver. So, there were a few people trying to stand out there, Vaughn. There were people trying to stand. There was a little, you guys have seen the meme, step away from the multi-billion-dollar corporation. And it's a fat soy jack with the little Wakiashazi out in defense. There were people like actually doing that. Paul doesn't watch the show, Kanik. It's not going to be an issue. Excellent, PGI. Yeah, PGI. It's not gonna be like that. And some people have said that like I've screwed up my channel by having the live streams and the interstitial stuff that I do on the same channel, that it screws up my metrics and stuff. It's too late though. Like that's like coming over to my house and saying that I put the wallpaper on upside down. I can't fix that now. But I can at least fix it in the sense that the 3D printing, crafting, and painting, and so on channel will be separate from this. So, with that said, let's take a little look at something, because who knows how much gas I got in the tank, right? I want to look at this because this is, I have my teaching hat on. You guys see I have my teaching hat on? Michael Mertig, greetings. We have deep dived many adventures on this show. We've gone on many, many, many adventures. But in my Let's Learn How to Play and Dungeon Master First Edition AD&D, there's one adventure that we haven't. There is an adventure that we have not. And I'm kind of surprised that we haven't, but we're going to take a look at it tonight. Because it's an important adventure, and it is many a young man and young woman's first ever adventure. What could he be talking about? Could he be talking about Village of Hamlet? Keep on the Borderlands? In search of the unknown? Well, let's find out. Let's find out. Because it requires learning a little bit about D&D and learning a little bit about, well, you'll see. Oh, that's awesome. Go Blogna, hello. Thank you for stopping by. Welcome, welcome. You can just drop your super chat in the box over there. Again, I tease everybody their first time about super chatting. So, against the cult of the reptile god? Sinister Secret of Salt. But what is this adventure Bill's talking about? It's this one right here. A sample dungeon. That's right. That's right. A sample dungeon. Right smack dab on page 95, 96 of your first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide. Join us for a read of this. Now, I was always disappointed. Deadly Dungeon Master, greetings. Shackles are yours because they started as a mixed bag because monetization and playing the algorithm wasn't the initial goal. Oh, thank you, PGI. I appreciate that. So let's take a look at a sample dungeon. First of all, we have a key. Level key, 1 square equals 10 feet. And again, I'm pointing to the screen like you guys can see it. Well, I think, do we get them? Yeah, there we go. 1 square equals 10 feet. Stairs up and stairs down. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it bugs the hell out of me when I see modules that just have stairs. Are they up or are they down? Well, it depends on what direction you're coming from. Are they up or are they down? Trapdoor. Note that it does not necessarily entail the entirety of a square, but it can. Secret trapdoor. Same. Stream. Door. S equals secret door. C equals concealed door. We have a brief wandering monster chart. Non-crypt areas, generally northern portion of map. 3 to 12 goblins patrolling from area 7-8. 2 to 5 bandits from area 4 to 5. 7 to 12 giant rats. 1 to 2 fire beetles. Crypt areas. 1 to 2 ghouls from area 24. 1 third level evil cleric and 2 hobgoblins from areas 35 to 37, 7 to 12 giant rats, 2 to 5 skeletons patrolling from area 27. Tensor's floating disk, Vince. Now, I'll tell you guys, Christopher Sackle, welcome, welcome. I'll tell you guys a little bit of trivia about this. Wow, 40 of you guys out there watching. Thank you all very much. Sean Hall. Well, his name is Sean Hall. It is Sean Hall. But let's take a brief pause. Paul Stormberg once thought that this was the original level intended for T1. And he promulgated this idea. And now if you know my relationship with Paul, you know how much fun I had ribbing him on this. A nerd's nerd, greeting. We're doing just great, my friend. But I told Gary was still with us at the time, and Paul was postulating that the map we're about to take a look at was Gary's original map because it's a monastery, et cetera, et cetera. So I just popped off a message to Gary, and I was like, "Hey, Gary, was this supposed to be for T1? Nope. Just So I then turned around and said, no. Paul's wrong. I got it from Gary himself. Here's the deal. So I very affectionately kind of rubbed his face in that a little bit. Mr. Trivia Master, Mr. History guy. I had it over on him. All right, let's continue. Monastery cellars and secret crypts. Number 1, entry chamber, a damp and vaulted chamber 30 feet square and arched to a 20-foot high center roof. Arches begin at 8 feet and meet at a domed peak. Walls are cut stone block. Floor is rough. Thick webs hide ceiling. See A and B below. A, large spider. Move 6 feet on the ground, 6 inches on the ground, 15 inches in the web. Hit dice 1+1, 6 hit points. There are also 9 1 HP young spiders hiding in the upper part of the webs. This monster lurks directly over a central litter of husks, skins, bones, and its own castings, awaiting new victims to drop upon. It will always attack by surprise unless the webs in it are burned, which will do 3 hit points of damage to the spider and kill the young. There are 19 silver pieces in the litter on the ground, while a goblin skull there has a 50 gold piece garnet inside, which will only be noticed if the skull is picked up and examined. Rattle, rattle. B, rotting sacks. There are 10 moldy sacks of flour and grain stacked here. The cloth is easily torn to reveal the contents. If all of them are open and searched, there's a 25% probability the last will have yellow mold in it, and handling will automatically cause it to burst, and all within a 10-foot radius must save versus poison or die in 1 turn. Thank you, insert. Now let's take a gander at arguably one of the most beautiful D&D maps ever created. Right here, the Monastery Dungeon. Hands up. Hands up. Whose first adventure was built around this? Your first homebrew adventure, was it built around this right here? Yes, I ran B2 as my first D&D. But when I sat down to create my own, this was my template. Look at that map. Look how dense it is. Look how lost you can get in that. Can you imagine this is a Doom map? Experiencing it from first person perspective, you would be lost. You wouldn't be able to find your way around. You would be lost. My favorite part is room 2, and we're going to talk about room 2 here in just a minute. Thank you, everyone. 42 people watching the stream. 42 viewers. Thank you so much, everybody. I love you all. Now, mainly the northern portions are your more normal monsters, your goblins, your bandits, your rats, your spiders. So we entail this area, perhaps, to be the northern portion. Note, there's only one corridor, and it is secretly sealed. So for the casual adventurer, this area here, discounting the tunnel and areas 29, 30 on down to 18, might be all they know of. So we have the caves here, or the cave here that I so love, and we're going to get to that in a section. But look at this. The whole dungeon is shuttered off from the rest of the dungeon right here in room 3. And we're going to get to that, PGI Films. You state a very important thing. Everything else behind this, remember, it talks about these being crypts and undead. This is a multi-level in terms of difficulty map on a single dungeon level. A party could spend weeks fighting and exploring all the way up to Area 23. But let's continue. C, heavy oak door with bronze hardware is remarkable only in it that if any character listens at it, he or she will detect a moaning which will rise and then fade away. Unbeknownst to listeners, it is the strong breeze which goes through Area 2. As soon as this door is open, a wind gust will extinguish torches and be 50% likely to blow out lanterns as well. The wind continues to make the corridor impossible for torches until the door is shut. Intense. Now, this is arguably one of my favorite single encounters in all of Dungeons and Dragons. The water room. I love this room. This room and the way Gary describes it really sets the tone for the way I design. And if you want to get a taste of the way I design, if you want to support the channel on Patreon or via YouTube subscription, we have from $1 all the way up to $10. Our Master Thief level at $10. Every month, you will receive a first edition advanced Dungeons and Dragons adventure. That's right. Every month, if you support us on Patreon or you support us on YouTube memberships. So water room, this is room 2, the water room. This natural cavern was roughly worked to enlarge it. Torches cannot be lit. When the monastery was functioning, the place was filled with casks and barrels and buckets. But now only 8 rotting barrels remain, location A, and there are 3 buckets scattered about. Several of the barrels hold water. They were new and being soaked to make them tight. Was the touch poison rat dung, Volcano God? And B is really it. B is really, really it. This is the thing that kind of, it sort of drew me in. It drew me in. The limed over skeleton of the abbot in this pool of water is in this pool of water, but it appears to be merely a somewhat unusual mineral formation. Clutched in the bony fingers is the special key which will allow the secret door at location 28 to open to the treasury room 29 rather than to the steps which lead down to the caverns steps at 30. Hey, Lightmane. Greetings. So what Gary's talking about there is right here. Unless you have the special key, you can't go to Area 29. If you have the special key, or if you don't have the special key, you'll go to Area 30, even if you find the secret door. And where that leads, well, that's up to you. If the remains are disturbed in any way, a cylindrical object will be noticed, the thing being dislodged from where it lay by the skeleton, and the current of the stream carrying it south downstream at 60 feet speed. To retrieve it, a character must be in the stream and score a 2-hit as if it were AC 4 in order to catch it. It is a watertight ivory tube with a vellum map of the whole level inside. However, slow seepage, that's not watertight, Gary. Slow seepage has made all but a small portion blur and run into ruin. The map only shows areas 1 and 2, the passage to 3, a smudge where 3 is, and the passage to 24, about 20 feet south of the secret door leading from 3 to 24. The latter being shown with miniature sarcophagi drawn in the 80 foot or so, not water soaked and ruined. Stream. This is cold and fast flowing. It is from 5 to 7 feet wide and 3 feet to 5 feet deep. It enters on the north from a passage which fills it entirely and exits to the south in the same manner. Pool. The pool is about 10 feet long and 15 feet wide. It is about 4 feet deep at its edge and 7 feet in the center. There are a score of small blind white fish in it, and under the rocks are some crayfish, similarly blind and white. Three, empty ceremonial chamber. This large place appears to be a dead end. It has roof support similar to chamber 1, but the vaulted ceiling dome here is fully 25 feet high. When the monastery was functioning, the faithful were brought here after death, consecrated, and then carried to their final resting place by silent monks after the mourners left. What a picture that paints. What an incredible picture that paints. He doesn't just say, here's coffins. The silent monks after mourners left. Don't tell me Gary Gygax wasn't a skilled writer. A wooden platform, supposedly a mere dais for ceremony and religious rites, was placed against the south wall. This platform, being 9 feet off the ground, enabled the use of a secret door in the south wall. This portal being 8.5 feet wide, 10 feet high, and 10 feet above the floor of the chamber. It's not just right there, guys. Remember, your secret doors don't have to just be conveniently located where you can walk up. Ah, yes, secret door, shove, and keep going. This thing's 10 feet off the floor, which means the passage behind it is 10 feet off the floor. Think about that. Think about that. Think about that when you're building your dungeons. Guys, in 3 encounters, you get a master class in doing something interesting with your dungeons. Amongst the 7 small protruding knobs of stone about 9.5 feet above the floor, the 7th pushes in to trigger the door mechanism, and the portal will swing inward with a grinding noise. The only clue which still remains are socket holes in the south wall. There are 2 at the 20-foot and 2 at the 30-foot line, that is, on either side of the centermost 10-foot south wall space. Each pair has 1 socket at about 4 feet, 1 at about 8. Each socket is a 1/2 inch by a 1/2 inch square, and a 1/2 foot by a 1/2 foot square, 6 inches square, and a little deeper. The first socket hole examined by the party will have several splinters of wood from the platform, of course, which might prove to be another clue to thinking players, for etc. So right there, guys, you have an absolutely phenomenal amount of data packed into 3 encounters. And those of you who say, well, it wasn't finished. The back half is crypt. The front half is more normal encounters. And you can guesstimate by looking at the wandering monster areas. Goblins, bandits, rats, fire beetles, your standard dungeon stock. This is a 2-level dungeon. It's a split-level dungeon. But in the back, an evil cleric, ghouls, giant rats, skeletons. You've got the spider to deal with, yellow mold. This entails the essential Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And right after that, guys, we get such an important part of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Everything I've been telling you guys about mechanics, about movement speed, about spell casting, about character creation, alignment, all of that goes into this example. You know how modern video games like shooters will teach you how to use a grenade, how to use this weapon, how to crouch, how to climb, how to jump? Same, PGI, same. You mentioned that too much, and Jack Photon will be right here. He'll teleport in like Beetlejuice. But I also love Wrath of Khan. Again, more fantastic Gary writing here. Assume you have assembled a group of players. Each has created a character, determined his or her race and profession, and spent some time carefully equipping these neophyte adventurers with everything that the limited funds available could purchase. Your participants are now eagerly awaiting instructions from you as how to find the place they are to seek their fortunes in. You inform them that there is a rumor in the village that something strange and terrible lurks in the abandoned monastery not far from the place. In fact, one of the braver villagers will serve as guide if they wish to explore the ruins. This seemingly innocent guide might be nothing more than he seems, or possibly an ancient agent of some good or evil power, or a thief in disguise, or just about anything else. In this case, however, let it be a thief for reasons you will discover soon. The party readily agrees, and so the adventure begins. You inform them that after a 2-mile trek along a seldom used road, they will come to the edge of a fen. A narrow causeway leads out to a low mound upon which stand the walls and buildings of the deserted monastery. One of the players inquires if the mound appears to be traveled, and you inform them that only a faint path is discernible, as if any traffic is light and infrequent. Somewhat reassured, another player asks if anything else is apparent. You describe the general bleakness of the bog, with little to relieve the view save a few clumps of brush and tamarack sprouting here and there, probably on bits of higher ground, and a fairly dense cluster of the same type of growth approximately half a mile beyond the abandoned place. Thus, the party has only one place to go, along the causeway, if they wish to adventure. The leading member of the group, whether appointed or self-elected, it makes no difference, orders that the party should proceed along the raised pathway to the monastery, and then the real adventure begins. The so-called guide, the thief, is a third-level non-player character. You placed him in the village and gave him the reason for being there as a desire for a huge fire opal, which the abbot of the place is said to have hidden when the monastery was under siege. The fellow died, according to legend, before revealing it to anyone, so somewhere within the ruins lies a fortune. But this particular thief lacks courage, so he's been living frugally in the village while seeking some means of obtaining the gem without undue risk to himself. Now, he asks the party to serve as his means. If they invite him along, he will go, with seeming reluctance, of course. If they do not, he will lurk near the entrance, hoping to obtain any loot they have gleaned from the adventure when they return, doing so either by stealth or by force if the party is sufficiently weakened from the perils they have faced. Verticality in first-person shooters is a relatively new thing. Players, it was found by Valve Software, quickly get frustrated with vertical attacks in the Left 4 Dead games and in the Half-Life games. And in Portal, puzzles that were very high up above you, it just drove players bonkers. Before you are 3 maps: a large-scale map which shows the village and the surrounding territory, including the fen and monastery, the secret entrance/exit from the place, and layers of any monsters who happen to dwell in the area. At hand is also a small-scale 1 square to 10 feet might be in order map of the ruined monastery, which shows building interiors, insets for upper levels, and a numbered key for descriptions and encounters. Lastly, you have the small-scale map of the storage chambers and crypts beneath the upper works of the place. Refer to the section the campaign, likewise keyed by numbers for descriptions and encounters. So no matter what action the party decides upon, you have the wherewithal to handle the situation. Guys, right there, preparation. Yes, players could turn and go where they wanted, but preparation. Preparation is key, guys. particularly if you're a new Dungeon Master. Thank you, Volcano God. I appreciate that. I hope to see him. Lastly, you have the small scale map of the storage chambers and crypts, likewise keyed by numbers for descriptions and encounters, so no matter what action the party decides upon, you have the wherewithal to handle the situation. When they come to the area shown on the second map, the one depicting the monastery complex, you set aside map 1 and begin a more detailed narrative of what they see, possibly referring to the number key from time to time as they explore the place. Movement within buildings is actually the same as in an underground setting. Each square represents an area of 10 feet per side, and movement is very slow as observation and map making and searching takes considerable time. Base movement rate translates to 1 square per 1 factor in a turn, 10-minute period. In a like manner, examining and mapping of a room or chamber will require about a 10-minute period. Just popping my neck there, guys. The thorough searching of contents and examination of walls, floor, and ceiling as well is also a lengthy process. How are doors and secret doors being opened? And what about locks and fastenings? It is vital that the DM know such details thoroughly so that the mundane processes of dungeon adventuring can be carried out rapidly, clearly, and in a fashion which will be interesting and exciting. Then we talk about movement and searching. This is an important chart, and a lot of DMs skip over this, but they shouldn't. Because I think it says something important about... I'm not going to go Patrick Bateman on you guys. Oh my God, the tasteful thickness of the Dungeon Master Guide pages. They even have illustrations. But I mean, here's a perfect guide. Guys, here's a perfect guide for how long when your characters are like, well, I'm going to search for trap. I'm going to listen. Searching for a trap is a round action. Listening for noise is a round action. Mapping and casually examining a 20 by 20 area is 10 minutes. Thoroughly searching an area after initial examination is 10 minutes. Thoroughly searching a 10 by 10 area for secret doors, 10 minutes. High grade, greetings. Good to see you. Time matters here, guys. And let me tell you something. That turn of searching, those turns of searching, guys, the monsters are not idly sitting waiting for you to do your thing. It's not like you pop open an inventory menu and nothing's happening behind you. Right here, right now, every turn that goes by, you need to be rolling on that wandering monster table. Whether you do a D6, a 1 indicating encounter, a D12, a 12 indicating an encounter. Every turn, check for wandering monsters. This is their home. This is their base. Sean Hall, go get him. Go get him. Get yourself a set. Get a set. Get a physical set, my friend. Whether you do the print on demands or whether you want to chance eBay and spend $300 tonight on 3 books, go get them. You want a young man learns how to use magic and does cool adventuring stuff? Set of books. It's very, very, very simple. Chronicles of Prydain. There. I just saved you going through a stack of books like this thick. You're welcome. Plus, Chronicles of Prydain. I firmly believe that Chronicles of Prydain is where we got the Bard, the AD&D Bard. Seriously, read the Chronicles of Prydain, Feud or Flam. And if you come away without thinking, there is literally a scene in the Chronicles of Prydain where Future Flam glances at a magic item and tells everybody in the group what it is, because he just knows. But anyway. But we have an asterisk on that searching. This assumes that, in fact, the area has items which can be checked for traps, examined, content search, hidden compartments, look for, and so on. If there are many containers and much furniture in the area, the time might actually be double that shown. If the place has nothing but some odds and ends, then a casual examination will discover all there is to know about the place. A short check for secret doors and a thorough search is contraindicated. Detection of unusual circumstances, traps, and hearing noise. Regardless of the means, it takes effort and concentration to perform any of these activities. A gnome, for instance, must remain relatively quiet and concentrate for a turn to detect facts about an underground setting. Likewise, a dwarf must work at it. An elf doesn't detect secret doors 16 2/3% of the time by merely passing by them unless he or she is actually concentrating on the act. A character with a sword must have it out and be thinking about its power in order to give for the weapon to communicate anything to him or her. To sum it all up, don't give the players a free lunch. Tell them what they see and allow them to draw their own conclusions and initiate whatever activity they desire. You are the source of their input, a timekeeper, and the motivator of all not connected with them. That is sufficient to keep you busy, rest assured. And yes, it is. Okay. Oh, wow. It's been going more than an hour now, guys. And there's still 40 of you out there. That's awesome. Thank you all. Allow me to show my appreciation by inviting you all to Super Chat. Doors. As a rule of thumb, all doors are hard to open and hard to keep closed or open for player characters, while inhabitants of the dungeon find little difficulty in these regards. Regardless of how a door opens, it's like when you go to somebody's house and you ever do that? You go to a house and a couple of people left. I guess they didn't think that was funny. Like you try to leave and you're turning the doorknob and it's stuck and everything. And they tell you, it's like, hey, you got to lift up on it. You got to kind of lift up and pull like in a 10 o'clock direction. No, you're pulling in a 9 o'clock direction, the dead ball. And then they come over and they're like, and you go through the door. That's basically every dungeon door. That's what Gary's telling you here. Okay. There's a gimmick to opening the doors. They're old, they're swollen, the hinges are rusted just so. The mechanism, if it's got one, all 192 kobolds can pass through that door with no problem. You are going to take a few minutes to figure it out. This is represented by a roll of d6 for each person involved in pushing, pulling, sliding, lifting, or whatever. A roll of 1 or 2 typically indicates success. Anything above indicates the door remains unopened. Very heavy doors might reduce chances by half. Locked doors might only open if 2 or even 3 simultaneous ones are rolled. Most doors are about 8 feet wide, and this allows up to 3 characters to attempt opening. A door of 3 feet or less width allows but a single character to make an attempt. If wooden doors, always metal bound, naturally, are broken down by axes and the like, it will take some time, a full turn is usual, and require at least 3 checks to see if nearby and or wandering monsters are attracted to the noise. Doors can also be blasted away by fireball and other spells, for example. This will not be likely to draw monsters to the vicinity immediately. Any such destruction, however, will attract the attention of all passing creatures and possibly cause future problems. Intelligent dungeon monsters will certainly make efforts to repair damage if it is in their interest to do so. Finally, metal doors, usually locked, will be very difficult to open, requiring a knock spell. Thank you, Mark Morrison. Thank you, Mark Morrison. I appreciate it. Never let it be said that I'm unappreciative. Concealed doors, these are doors which are hidden in some way, behind a curtain, covered with plaster, a trap door under a rug, etc. They differ from a secret door in that once their concealment is uncovered, they are obviously doors. And then we have secret doors. These are portals which are made to appear to be a normal part of the surface they are in. They can possibly be sensed or detected by characters who are actively concentrating on such activity, or their possible location may be discovered by tapping. Through the hollow place could be another passage or room beyond which has no portal in the hollow sounding surface. Discovery does not mean that access to the door mechanism has been discovered. Checking requires a very thorough examination of the possible secret door area. You may use either of two methods to allow discovery of the mechanism. Math is coming, guys. Brace yourselves. Vaughn, they're not stuck to the monsters. Again, the monsters know how to open the doors. Like the door out of my studio is stuck. If someone came into my house, a complete stranger came into my house right now and wanted to come in here, they would have to make a successful open doors roll. Because that door doesn't just open and close. You literally got to lift on the knob and give it a hard yank. Oh, thank you, Michael Dale. I appreciate that too. Michael Dale says he'll see your 3 gold pieces and reads. I wish it was 3 gold pieces. 3 gold pieces is 1.6 ounces. Or one gold piece is 1.6 ounces. Go look at the price of gold. 3 gold pieces would be dandy right now. But thank you, Mark. You may designate a probability by a linear curve, typically with a d6. Thus, the secret door is discovered 1 in 6 by any non-elf, 2 in 6 by elven or half-elven characters, each character being allowed to roll each turn in checking a 10 by 10 area. So if you don't find it, you can search another turn and possibly find it again. This also allows you to have some secret doors more difficult, the linear curve being a d8 or a d10. You may have the discovery of the existence of the secret door enable player characters to attempt to operate it by actual manipulation, i.e. the player is concerned, give instructions as to how they will have their characters attempt to make it function. Turn the wall sconce, slide to the left, put the candle back. Press the small protrusion and see if it pivots. I'll take things you can say in Dungeons and Dragons and to your girlfriend when you're having a little bit of sweet time for 200, Alex. Pull the chain. Same. Thank you, Or Below Air. It's one of my favorite movies. Hey, right on, man. Thank you, Volcano God. You too, brother. You too. It's a long story behind that, guys. I'll tell it to you sometime. Rear! Orbital air nose. It is quite acceptable to have a mixture of methods of discovering the operation of the secret door. With these basic points in mind, let us return to the action of the first dungeon adventure. Okay, I'm going to pause there. We're an hour in. There's still 36 of you out there. Do you guys want to go through the narrative here? You guys want to go through the narrative? You know the one I'm talking about. I will leave it, by and large, to your fancy. Because I can just slip these bad boys off and just talk about anything at this point. Vaughn, I know you want me to. Wave, cheese wagon, sample of play, Bob wants it. I'm getting a strong yes vibe. Now, apparently 4 or 5 of you don't, because we're now down to 35 in the stream. Oh, 44 likes that is. Thank you, Sean. No, 3 gold pieces is not 3 ounces. Let's see. 0.3 times. Let's see. It's 3 ounces, but it's 1.6 ounces per. So it's actually what, 4.8 ounces? So it would be more than that. It would be more than that. Assuming that the abandoned monastery is merely a burned-out shell with nothing but rubble and ruin within, the players spend only a few minutes of real time looking around before they discover a refuse-strewn flight of steep and worn stone stairs leading downwards. Aha! Exclaims the leader of the group. This must be the entrance to the dungeons. We'll find what we are looking for there. The other players voice agreement, and so the real adventure begins. What is said by the dungeon master will be prefaced by the letters DM, while the party of player characters will be prefaced by either LC for leader or OC for any other player character speaking. DM, what are you going to do now? LC, light our torches and go down the steps. DM, fine, but I'll need the marching order you'll be in. At this point, the players either write down the names of the characters with each in its respective rank or place their painted miniature figures in actual formation. As minimum width is about 3.5 feet per character, a 5-foot wide corridor requires single file, a 10-foot wide means up to 3 may be abreast, and 6 abreast can move down a 20-foot wide passageway. Please note what formation you will take in a 5-foot wide passage and what your marching order will be in a 20-foot wide area also. So the DM is getting ahead of the curve and asking which is which. So he doesn't have to say, okay, it's 20 feet wide. You guys changing up? You want that right there. Well, it's 10 coins to the pound. And a pound is 16 ounces. Hence. After a brief discussion with the other players, here's the information on this sheet of paper. We'll change it only if one of us is wounded, lost, or killed. I like how lost, it's like, what's going to happen with that? All right. I don't think we need this up on the screen. I'm just gonna do a thing here. All right, so you can see my smiling face somewhat. Why are the gnome and the DM is asking them this? The DM is actually doing a little bit of work here, which I think if Gary had been thinking about it, he wouldn't have done this. Michael Dale wants to understand well, you came to the right place, my friend. Why are the gnome and the halfling in the front rank, the magic user in the middle, and the human fighter and cleric in the rear? That way all 5 of us can act when we encounter an enemy. The magic user can cast spells over the heads of the short characters in front, and the pair in the back rank can do likewise, or fire missiles, or whatever is needed, including a quick move to the front. Note, he's left room, the fighters have left room, and if they are moving in a 10-foot area, the halfling and the gnome can move back, and the fighter and the cleric can move to the front easily in a single combat round. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm just gonna pat myself on the back here. Everybody and their brother who talks tabletop role-playing games on YouTube is willing to go, my favorite module, and I'm not slagging anybody in the classic TTRPG space. We're all awesome, but it's only down here It's only down here. RPG Grandma, myself, Dungeon Minister, so many others that you're actually going to learn classic D&D. Steel Mongoose knows what's happening. He says the session would have turned out much more better if they'd recruited Gut Boy Barrelhouse. Or blast them. You guys know Blast him, the magic user. DM nodding agreement. You remember that torches will spoil the infravisual capabilities of the gnomes and halflings. PGI films. Don't you? Certainly, but the humans must be able to see. We'll go down the stairs now with weapons drawn and ready. DM, you descend southward, possibly 30 feet laterally, and at the end of the stairway you see an open space. Leader, enter the area and look around. DM, you are in a chamber about 30 feet across to the south and 30 feet wide east and west. There are 10-foot wide passages to the left and right, each in the center of the respective walls. The stairway you descended likewise enters the chamber in the center of the north wall. Leader, what else do we see? DM, the floor is damp and rough. There are arches supporting the ceiling, starting from the spot about 8 feet above the floor and meeting about 20 feet height in the central dome of the place. It's difficult to tell because the whole ceiling is covered with webs, possibly old cobwebs. Oh yes, there are some moldering sacks in the southwest corner and some rubbish jumbled in the center of the floor, which appears to be dirt, old leather, rotting cloth, possibly sticks or bones or something similar. I understand, Michael. I understand. The best thing I can tell you to do is, well, are you on our Discord, Michael? Because we have great discussion about how to AD&D on the Discord, and it's you can reference it back. Steel Mongoose, no give it away. A confused babble breaks out at this point, with players suggesting all sorts of different actions. The leader cautions them and tries for a careful, reasoned, methodical approach. The gnome and the halfling will hand their torches to the fighter, me, and the cleric. They will then look down the east and west passage while I check the one straight ahead to the south. The cleric will check the sacks, and the magic user will examine the pile of refuse in the center of the chamber. Everyone agree? Sure, says the player with a cleric character. I'm moving over to the sacks now, sticking close to the left-hand wall. What are the rest of you doing? As indicated, tell me how you're doing it, please. If miniature figures in a floor plan are being used, each player simply moves his or her figurine to show the route of movement and final position. Otherwise, each player must describe actions just as the cleric character player did above. Now, I love what Gary's saying here. If miniatures in a floor plan are being used. So all you guys who curl your lip at miniatures and floor plans, right here, guys, right here in black and white. Good night, Sean Hall. Have a lovely weekend. They are now in position. What is seen and what happens? Hang on a second, Michael. I will get you that. Copy. There you go. Good night, Clark. Have a lovely evening. Let's see. Just as the three are in position to look down the passages, and while the cleric is heading for the rotting bags, the magic user cries out, and you see something black and nasty upon her shoulder. Everybody, quick, see what's attacked her. Then turning to the referee, we rush over to help kill whatever has attacked her. What do we see? A large spider has surprised her. As she went to examine the refuse, it dropped from its web. It landed on her back and bit her. Before you can take any action, she must make a saving throw with +2 on her die, of course, and then she and the spider must dice for initiative and fight a round of combat. After that, the rest of you can try to do something. She's fighting all on her own here, guys. The magic user, a 16. Did I make it? This says she rolled the die to make the required saving throw against the spider's poison. Easily. Yes, so you only take 1 point of damage. While you mark it down, I'll roll for the spider's initiative. Beat a 3. Again, the magic user, a 5. If that means I can act before the spider does, I'll grab it and throw it on the floor and stomp on it with my boot. Roll a d20 and we'll see if you hit. The die score indicates this magic user would hit an opponent armor class of the large spider, so the DM states, you grab the spider, but as you do so, you are now allowing the monster to attack you, even though you had the initiative, and it bites your hand as you hurl it to the floor. Amidst groans of horrified anticipation, the DM rolls a 20, but the low number indicates a clean miss by the arachnid. Yug! The nasty thing misses you and is now scuttling across the floor where you tossed it. Who's nearest to the spider? Whomever it is will smash it with a weapon. It was hurled to the southwest and is now headed for the wall there to climb back into its web overhead. The cleric is nearest to it. The cleric, of course. I squashed the nasty thing with my mace. And here the player rolls, having already gained savoir-faire, rolls a d20 to see if his strike is successful. A 20 and a beaming player shouts, I got it! You're right, and you do. With these words, the DM, no, not the player, the DM rolls a d6 to determine the amount of damage. 6 points! That's heavy. Heavy enough to kill it, in fact. It is smashed to pieces. What now? Everybody will set out to do what we did. Everybody will do what we set out to do in the first place. If nothing valuable or interesting is in the sacks, the clerics will help the magic user search the refuse and burn the webs overhead in case there are more spiders hiding up there. The sacks hold rotten grain, so the cleric will go and help the magic user as ordered. They find the refuse consists of castings, some old husks, some victims of the spider, hide, bones, a small humanoid skull, and 19 silver pieces. Do you now fire the webs overhead? Examine the skull first. What kind of humanoid was it? Can we tell? Possibly a goblin. As you're looking at it more closely, you see that there is a small gem inside, a garnet. That's more like it. Put it safely in your pouch, along with the silver pieces, good cleric, and light the spider web. Be well, Mark. The strands burn quickly, flame running along each and lighting others touched. You see several young spiders crisped as the mass of webs nears the top of the chamber catches fire. That's that. What's seen down the 3 corridors leading out of the place? The east passage appears to turn about 30 feet or so. The south tunnel runs as far as can be seen, and the west corridor ends at about 20 feet. Come on, fellow adventurers, let's head west and see what lurks beyond the door. The other players concur, so marching order is reestablished, and the gnome and halfling lead the way. Pardon me. Okay, you're marching west. Sorry, guys, I'm good. I gotta pause for a minute. Excedrin headache number 9 just landed on me. I'm gonna it's move this over here and put this over here. Okay, you're marching west, 10 feet, 20 feet, and the passage ends in a door to the west. It is a great heavy thing bound in corroded bronze. There is a huge ring in the center. Magic users, step forward and listen at the door. Gnome and halfling, see which way it opens and get ready to do so. Rolling a d6 behind a screen so that the players cannot see the result, which would normally indicate if a noise were detected or not. Interesting, he's rolling a d6 to see if a noise would be detected or not. Very interesting. And we may pause after this and just pick it up on Monday night, guys, because I'm all of a sudden not feeling great. Let's see. There's a faint moaning sound. You can't really tell. Let's see. You can't really tell what it is, which rises and fades away. The door pulls inwards towards you. The hinge is on the left. So we're going to pick it up from that point forward, guys, and yeah, we'll have some fun with it. We'll have some fun with it on Monday. Thank you all for being here. I just suddenly, really, just a sudden onset splitting headache. Graph Paper Architect. Oh no, I'm sorry, Graph. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, though. I appreciate it. I really do want to thank Mark Morrison, Michael Dale, and Volcano God for the supers tonight. That was super of you guys. Thank you all for hanging out and watching. I know it's kind of an abrupt end, but yeah. Your cousin Exodrin. Who says that? Who does that? Anyway, but you guys have a lovely, lovely evening, and I will see you all again on Monday, and then we'll have big fun there. And of course, next week we got Jack Photon coming on the show. That's going to be a lot of fun. But until then, guys, keep your eyes peeled and your ears open, and watch out for those dastardly owl bears. Peace, everyone.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle, way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.